Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads, the best show dedicated to the Baldur's Gate franchise and beyond. I'm Cameron, and I play Ticklevarr the Sorcerer.
And I'm Danny, and I play Balthazar, the Barbarian.
The Barbarian. This is episode 40, and today we're hunting down the other ball spawn.
The other ball spawn.
The other ball spawn. I can't believe it's not ball spawn.
It's a lot. There are a lot of them, and one made a very quick appearance and was just gone.
The one we killed at the very beginning of this
game?
At
the very beginning. That was just just a punk.
Mm-hmm. We took a break 2 weeks ago. An episode did not come out. We took a little holiday break.
We took a holiday break because we have families.
Well, you have a son.
I have a son. You have a wife.
Citation needed.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
one of us is telling the truth and the other is lying.
Ooh, the one of us only tells the truth and one of us only lies.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do it? This is a real Baldur's Gate moment, huh?
Mm-hmm. Murder.
The answer is murder. Gosh, you can check us out on Twitter. That's down in the description below. You can check us out on Facebook. That's also in the description below. You can follow us both on Twitter rather than just Range Touch. And if you like this video that you're currently listening to, you can hit subscribe and or like on this very video.
Where you're watching it. How convenient is that?
YouTube makes it so easy. And we haven't even done like a heinous crime or anything like that.
No. Oh, Lord.
We deserve our likes.
And you know what? We don't even monetize this.
Well, you know what, though? They could go and support us on Patreon.
There you go. And that's why you want to support us on Patreon, because we're not shoving ads down your face.
Mm-hmm. If you want
YouTube.
ads shoved down your face, go over to Patreon.
Mm-hmm. And just listen to our 40-minute ad for Last Jedi, which is free.
Did a free Last Jedi podcast. It's fun. And we have a monthly podcast and some other neat stuff over there. But at the very beginning of this episode, Danny, at the very beginning, I'm doing a lot of leaning in and out here. Mm-hmm. At the very beginning of this episode, we've got a big question.
Yes, the return of the big question.
The return of the big question. The big question this week, invented by me last week, is it possible to do a good twist in a Dungeons and Dragons video game?
Can I answer?
It's open to the floor.
I think it is possible. I think the answer to this question is ultimately going to be a discussion of the nature of what a good twist can be, right? Mm-hmm. But my gut instinct is that yes, it is possible for there to be a good twist in a video game. It may be outside the rubric or outside the kind of industry standard. It may be a little subversive. But I think it's possible.
Mm-hmm. In a Dungeons and Dragons video game.
Yeah.
I'm very specific about this, because I agree. Like, it's possible to do a good twist, right? Like, love it or hate it, BioShock got a good twist.
Well, ultimately, I think this comes down to, when you say Dungeons and Dragons, you're saying this very intentionally, and I totally appreciate that. I think that there are two schools of thought here. One is Dungeons and Dragons and its rule set is merely a substrata upon which it is the fundamental assumptions of the universe and like the laws of physics, basically. And then everything can be built up from there. And in that way, anything that is possible in any other kind of fictional world, cyberpunk, Western, kind of a Seven Samurai situation, etc., right? Mm-hmm. Any kind of dramatic turn or twist that is possible in those realms should be possible in a Dungeons and Dragons video game that I just described, right? Where there are these fundamental assumptions about the mechanics of the world and how the physics work. And surely I don't think that there's anything inherent in those that eliminates good twist. The other conception of Dungeons and Dragons is not that it is merely a set of assumptions about the foundational facts of the world. Another way of thinking about it would be Dungeons and Dragons is that plus this gargantuan set of baggage around narrative tropes and the way villains work and the way heroes work and traditional fantasy, not just traditional fantasy, but like fantasy writ small, fantasy in a very narrow realm of like the way it is expressed in D&D modules and Dungeons and Dragons novels, right? So which are we going for here? Is like the reason why this question popped into your head is like when you said Dungeons and Dragons video game, were you thinking about the latter of the dichotomy that I just proposed?
I somewhere in the realm of the latter, right? Because I don't think it's just like a bunch of tropes. It's about also the expectation of what a player should be able to do, right? Because like in your first example of is it as the substrate like mechanical assumptions, right?
Yes.
That's like we can do that with anything, right? So Fallout, kind of famously, the original Fallout game is based on GURPS, and it ultimately didn't secure the license for GURPS, so it kind of changed it just enough to be legally distinct. But that's kind of the basis for that. And so yeah, I agree that it's possible that the rule set. Well, maybe I'll say it this way: the rule set for D&D does not encompass everything we would say is D&D. Right.
Okay.
I think we could agree with that. Right.
Mutually agree.
And so I think that the difference is not just fantasy tropes, because not all of those are necessarily true. Right. Eberron is still D&D, which has some of those same tropes, but not other tropes.
Dark Sun,
100%, or Spelljammer. Right. Like very weird stuff that doesn't fit the high fantasy narrative tropes. But there are some assumptions about player agency. In the sense of like the player being able to self-determine their position in the world and the flow of narrative, and about the inherent goodness of the player. That like the player can self-define a good and then go for it. Because like in these D&D video games, it's still very difficult to do. Even though you can be evil and have an evil party, it's pretty hard to do like truly heinous things. You can't kill all of the you can't go kill Belt, right?
Yeah.
And get away with it, right? The game will just stop. So, and I think that, like, within that realm, it's hard to do without subverting or disempowering the way that players function and the way they work in the world. I think it's hard to do a good twist.
Interesting. Is a good twist possible in an Elder Scrolls game?
I can't think of a very good one.
So I think it's a similar problem. It seems like a similar obstacle.
Yes.
Too much agency. There are certain assumptions built in, like you're going to start an Elder Scrolls game and you're going to bust out of prison somehow, or like be released, and you'll be able to go anywhere you want, right? And you have these certain questions about player agency. Are we example that comes to my mind, we've definitely talked about this on the show before, but it sticks out in my mind. This is a Oblivion quest, Fighters Guild, end of the Fighters Guild chain in Oblivion. You are tasked with going to kill these werewolves. You drink a potion in order to give yourself the courage necessary to do it, and you kill all of these monsters, and then the potion wears off and you realize, oh my god, all of the monsters I killed were people.
You were the bad guy the whole time.
Oh my god, you were the bad guy the whole time. Bad twist? Are you saying, no, that's a bad twist?
I mean, I think I'm pretty much on record saying that form of twist is a bad twist.
Because those are the twists that are present in all of the Baldur's Gate games, right? Oh, you were the one that did the bad one.
Exactly. Or they were the good ones the whole time, right? That's the two versions of that. Yeah, there's a quotation in the opening of The Secret History of Twin Peaks from Mark Frost, where he distinguishes between a secret and a mystery.
Okay.
And the twist that we were talking about is just a secret. Like, there is a true answer to it, and it is a simple reversal. But I think a good twist needs a mystery to it.
Can you give me an example of a good twist in a video game?
This is going to be spoilers for a video game. I'm sorry for people who have to deal with that. Here is a spoiler. It's coming. I'll do your doodly. I'll put that in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's KOTOR 2. KOTOR 2 is entirely a twist.
Okay, now tell the audience what the twist is in that game. I've played it, but it's been a while.
The twist of that is that Kreia is ultimately... she's theoretically helping you the entire time, but she is using you to subvert not only a small micro part of the world, but the very notion of the light side and the dark side. It is a systemically built up from the bottom, complete reversal of all of the assumptions about the way that the world of Star Wars even works.
So this is different from Kreia merely but just being a Sith Lord.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. She was bad and she tries to stab you.
She was bad. Oh my gosh! I thought this person was the light side, but this person is the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
I've been tricked. I've been had. Rather, the twist is you aren't even. You thought that there was a dichotomy and you were on one side of it, but in fact, you have been an agent of destroying that dichotomy.
Exactly, that the dichotomy doesn't even exist, right? That the assumptions you were making. And I guess this is very similar to the twist in BioShock, which is that you believe there's two different sides that are kind of at war with one another, but in fact, the reality is you are, or your mission is orthogonal to even what they are concerned with.
Okay. Can we think of a twist in any media that isn't that, you thought it was X versus Y, but in fact that's not a dichotomy? Because we've already said, a mere inversion, bad twist. Mm-hmm. A subversion, that's a good twist, demolishing a dichotomy. Is there another type of twist? Because it would, a good twist in a D&D game would have to reside in that third category.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm kind of partial to the usual suspects version of a character has endeared themselves to you so sufficiently that you believe they are infallible.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, you have been hoodwinked in the same way that other characters have. I find that pretty good. That's a little close to what Sarevok does in Baldur's Gate 1, but I feel like it sticks the landing maybe a little bit more. It could be that Baldur's Gate 1 was trying to mimic the usual suspects.
It has to be a D&D video game has to do, in order for there to be a good twist, I think that it's too big of it would break fundamental assumptions about the genre in order to subvert anything, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to it would be a video game that takes place in the Forgotten Realms. It'd be no, actually, there's only one god.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Something weird like that,
it would have to be some micro. It could not be a big at scale thing, right? It would have to be, two rival thieves guilds, or three gods in one, or something like that.
Yeah, but it's still, all of these are still kind of relying on the player becoming invested in a quest giver, or doing a thing because they think they're trying to accomplish X.
Yeah.
But in fact, so it's still a little cheap feeling.
Yeah.
I think that the usual suspects is the better route, but even then, player agency can short circuit usual suspects in a way that you just can't short circuit that in film, right?
Yeah, self-directed. The problem of self-directed heroic players seems to be a hard problem to solve.
We don't have to talk spoilers, but does Tacoma have a twist?
I didn't think it had a twist. I thought it had a mystery that it solved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little different. It was kind of like I don't think a Sherlock Holmes short story is a twist, right?
Yeah. I think you're, and also. So I do think that Dungeons and Dragons could pull off something similar to Tacoma if the game begins in media res, and it's just the players slowly figuring out what the motivations of the protagonist are, right? But that's not a twist, as you just said. So I think that the answer to this big question might be maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe a good twist is possible in Dungeons and Dragons.
But you have to like bend the format some, I think.
You do, and I think that I'm okay with that.
Just in a general way.
In a general sense, yeah. If there was another, Wizards of the Coast or Forgotten Realms one-off game, like I understand that the D&D team has like very tight control over like their IP and stuff that happens, right? Mm-hmm. I think that you even said that like it all goes across one person's desk to, like for final approval.
Yeah, Chris Perkins he's like the story editor or something like that. He has final approval. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder if D&D would ever be willing to, in the same way that comic books, right? You'll just inhabit a world, and there's like an understanding. Hey, this is all going to reset. Like the choices made in this one series is like a parallel universe or like a one-off, and they aren't going to affect the rest of the ecosystem. It would be fun to like see a talented team with the richness of Forgotten Realms and like all the things they could pull on. To see what people would come up with if they were just saying, "Hey, go hog wild," right? As long as owlbears have beaks, see what you can do.
Yeah, that's a really good point because the comic books do big world-ending events like Flashpoint or Final Crisis or any of those things, and they're kind of not universally, but a lot of people will hate them because they reset continuity. And they have like these widespread effects that interrupt all these other stories. But I think what you're pointing out, which is really important, is that that's the only kind of event that D&D can do in the Forgotten Realms. You can only do a big status quo changing event.
Spell plague.
Every time.
Time of troubles.
Trouble time.
Like those are, and with every edition, it's kind of like that. And I don't know when 5th edition is kind of winding down and they're working on 6th, whenever that happens, right? I would love to see. I'd love to see some like a cool team take over, like be given the reins and said, "Hey, how's the Forgotten Realms going down this time?" Right? And have it be done in a video game form, like and because the novels have been discontinued, right? Mm-hmm. So have that major event happen in D&D form, and have this major change be experienced by the gamers.
It can be very good too. I would love it to be like a big splat book that's like Forgotten Realms Apocalypse, and it's like 5 or 6 different scenarios of what happened, and then like a little an adventure, like a Tales from the Yawning Portal style adventure for each one. Anyway, that's a long time we spent on a big question, but I think it's an important question because I think that at this point during this chapter, Throne of Bhaal is trying to deliver a twist to us.
Yeah.
And I think it is a clumsy one. I think it is a non-compelling one.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where this is the first time I've ever played this. I did not read any spoilers. To call this a twist is very generous.
But it does feel like it's supposed to be, right?
It does. Like it's one of those things. It's engineered to look like one. But I do think that a twist does have to like surprise you in some way. If it's not surprising at all, that just feels like we're going through the motions here.
Yeah, I think that's a problem.
Sure. So we got Sendai last time, right? This is where we begin.
Yes.
So we are now 3 ball spawn down. Mm-hmm. There was some joker that just confronted us right when we booted up Throne of Bhaal. Mm-hmm. There was Yagashura, giant, invulnerable, but Achilles heel type situation. We got Yagashura. We got Sendai, Drow, powerful, was gathering all of these allies. Did not work out for Sendai.
No.
And now we're coming for somebody named Abasagal.
Abasagal.
And we go to Abasagal's lair, handily marked on our map.
Yeah. Yep. Confirmed, yes. So what happened Danny, when you went to Abasagal's lair?
Well, before I even get inside, Abasagal's son confronts me.
Yeah,
and
whose name is, if you haven't picked up what's going on with Abasagal yet, Abasagal's son is named Draonus.
Is named Draonus, correct?
In the same way that my last name is Humanman.
But so anyway, Draonus initially thinks that I'm an emissary of the other Balthazar, and I say no, I'm the other Balthazar. Mm-hmm. And I say, hey, stand aside. I don't have any beef with you. You're not the person on my quest scroll right now.
Yep,
buddy. And Draonus does not back off. And I tell him to stand aside, and he does not back off, and it just does not end well for him. I'll tell you that.
So it's an interesting fight because you fight him as a human for a minute. And he summons some invisible stalkers, I believe.
Yeah.
And when you kill him, he transforms into an owlbear.
And he transforms into, I think it's a second edition chimera.
Oh, the good one. That's what you're telling me.
The good one, yeah.
No, he turns into a dragon.
He turns into a dragon, and pretty tough little dragon, huh?
Yeah. I have in my show notes here, I wrote, he's good at kicking ass and getting his ass kicked. And that's something that I wrote in my physical notes. Like, I scribbled down, and I actually don't know what I meant by that. But yeah, he is a difficult little fight. I had a pretty easy time doing the first half. Mm-hmm. And a very hard time doing the second half. So how did you beat him?
Made him transform into a dragon.
Uh-huh.
Then I left the area, saved, came back into the area, and then so that I was like full health initiating the fight with him just as a dragon, right? Because that's kind of the hard part of the fight to me.
Yeah.
And starting at full health is kind of necessary. I tried various kind of means with my weapons. Like I used kind of every combination. And I really regret that when I beat Baldur's Gate 2, if you have not placed all of your items in either the bag of holding that you have with you or in the Watcher's Keep, all of your items from Baldur's Gate 2 are just gone, right? Like, I have no access to any of those items now.
Like the ones that you stored on that
at Joaquin's Promenade. Yep.
I see, yeah.
So they're all gone. I really wish I would have kept the silver sword around. It was like a two-handed sword that had a 5% chance of killing things when I hit them. That seems good, and it would have worked on this. But ultimately what I did is I have Fobane, this bastard sword, and I have it up to +5. I got it on the second level of Watcher's Keep, just because I wanted that bastard sword, and I upgraded it with a +5 from some item I picked up in Throne of Bhaal, and every time I hit something with it, it casts Larrick's Minor Drain, and it's just like a life tap. So I equipped that in one hand and a shield in the other to get my AC to -11 or -12. And at that point, I was just I wasn't hitting him very hard or very fast, but he was not hitting me. And in the few times that he did hit me, I would just regain my health after hitting him with the bastard sword. And that's how it happened.
That's some real strategy. Tactics.
Yeah, a challenging fight. A challenging fight.
So Ticklevarr went into this and did that first part pretty easily, and then got into the dragon part. And Valigar would die, and Saravok would die, and then Viconia would die, and then, it's all downhill once that front line is gone. And I probably did this for 40 or 50 minutes. It took a long time.
This is a real dragon fight.
It's a real dragon fight. You know how good I've been at dragon fights in the past. I did bad. I've done very bad. And so what I did is I went and figured out how to turn console commands on, and then I killed it in one hit.
Oh, my lord. You cheated.
I've done it.
So do you think you would have been able to beat Draonus without console commands, given enough time?
I don't know, honestly. I think
You
I might have
honestly
had to
don't
like
know.
go grind some levels or something.
Did you use scrolls of like poison resist?
I didn't. I did not.
Or no like potions of resist or anything like that?
He was really just like hitting me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even say it was like any in particular special ability that was killing me off. He just hits really hard.
What's your party again? You got Saravok, Valagar, Viconia. There's 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the others?
Ticklevarr,
Nira,
and who else? Someone else, clearly. Oh, and Mazzy. Yeah.
So a lot of people on the front line, and the wing buffet is a problem, right? Like the thing that knocks everybody down.
Yeah, the problem really is positioning after you get him into dragon form.
No, I think that the way you win that fight, I think you've got to leave and come back that you like start.
But the problem is then all of my characters are right in front of the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way to reposition. It was just a difficult fight.
Yeah.
Took a lot
I think
of effort.
I think it should be doable.
I think I'm a little underleveled for it, honestly.
You may be. I've been at max level since the fucking Beholders in BG2, like episode whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think I'm level 26 across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm also not, particularly good at the game.
Well, there we have it. What a moment of ignobility that you have.
So my desire for the rest of this game is to never fight a dragon again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll see how that turns out.
I'm good. Well, you know what? Spoilies. But I did fight another dragon, and something similar might have happened.
Oh my god.
But yeah, beyond dragons, I think I'm good. Because like, what's funny, right, is that like Irenicus at the end of Baldur's Gate 2 was fine. Like that took like 2 or 3 tries, but the dragons are taking me consistently like 15, 20 tries to do it, and some of them I can't even do, right? So
dragons are the iconic hard enemies of this series, right?
100%.
Like I feel like there's almost like when they made this area, they're like, okay, well, we've got to have dragons in Throne of Bhaal because there's dragons in every other game in the series, right?
Confirmed.
Even BG1.
Yeah.
And they're notoriously hard. I think there was almost some one-upsmanship happening here, right? Like, well, these dragons have to be head and shoulders harder than any other encounter in the game.
Yeah, and that is just not why I'm playing this game, right? Which is a real bummer, because as we get toward the end of Throne of Bhaal, or I guess we're at the halfway point of Throne of Bhaal, I feel like what I am in this game for, which is like interesting storytelling, is almost completely gone from the game. I mean, we'll talk about the rest of this section, but I was pretty deeply unimpressed with what happens here. And that might be influenced by the fact that I spent like an hour beating my head up against this first dragon before figuring out how console commands work, but that was not fun.
The rest of kind of the way this area is designed, after you kill Draonus, you take his head. You got to have the head to get in. You cannot skip this fight.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a door right behind him, and you have to pick up his head to open the door. Mm-hmm. Which is just
It's
anyway.
I think there's a really interesting what if you didn't have to kill him, right? And you could run around him or sneak past him or something like that.
Or spawn in his head with console commands. And you could like do the rest of this area without the head, but getting the head would get you some bonus, right? Or
perhaps
it would be
like
a moral choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In any case, you get past Draonus, and the interior basically it's like a series of puzzles. There is one large room with these vents, with these steaming pools, and most of the pools you can't get down because the passageway you would have to swim through is so long you wouldn't be able to hold your breath, right? Mm-hmm. And there are also some of these that require a rope somehow to like get down into them or something like that. So, but there is one that you can swim through.
Yep.
And basically it is a go through area, kill some Koatoa, kill some like ice salamanders or frost salamanders, kill some like golems for some reason, get like a little piece of fill up a little bottle to get the breath potion, and then you can go through another thing, and then when you go through that other thing, you can get a rope, and like all of those things. Mm-hmm. There's kind of one in this process, there's one kind of plot important, arguably, piece of this puzzle, in that who do we meet in the Kuotoa kind of area?
Oh, good lord. It is a monk from Balthazar's monastery.
Okay.
And remember, that's what Draonus said, right? He was like, are you another emissary being sent by Balthazar? Mm-hmm. And I had to be like, no, I'm not. And then of course they use console commands. But for this guy, I think he believes you're going to murder him first, right?
He actually hallucinates. He says, "Oh, get away from me with those claws of yours."
Yeah, that's right. I mean, or you could have claws.
Or I could have claws. Or, I mean, he could be really anxious and filled with shock because he's been tortured.
He has been.
By fish people.
And you say, hey, buddy, why are you here?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, don't worry about it. I won't tell you. I'd rather die than tell you.
I won't tell you. I'm dying anyway. Sorry.
R.I.P.
But, yeah.
And then he kind of like spills the beans about the structure of this dungeon. Mm-hmm. That there is a wizard here who is Abasagal's like right-hand wizard, or at least like in his employ. There is another dragon here, a good dragon, who is, or maybe a neutral dragon, I don't know. Another dragon.
Who has been imprisoned by a Gesh.
Yep. To protect Abasagal's lair.
Yes.
And so you can talk to the wizard. He says, hey, talk to this wizard. You can get a scroll to break the spell, and then let that dragon go. And then you'll be able to get to Abasagal. Peace out, bye, and then he dies.
Yeah, yep. So we now know, so now we have get breath potion, get rope, get scroll, get Abasagal. That's like how, and like the game is very upfront about all of this.
Yeah, and in between all of these, there will be like 2 fights. Mm-hmm. And I just don't find this. You know, we've kind of talked a few times about how some of these dungeons feel real good. They kind of got like a clockwork feel to them. I don't think this is a quest or a dungeon that has a clockwork feel to it. I felt like this was padding almost. Did you find any of these characters particularly interesting?
No, and and here's the reason. I think that the issue is that it's too streamlined. Mm-hmm. I think I don't feel like an ecosystem here.
Yeah.
I like the dungeons to walk the line between, interesting narrative content that you can just kind of go through, and like an ecosystem, a more Gygaxian ecosystem where, there are these different, species or little groups of monsters that live in this kind of ecosystem, and they have this symbiotic relationship, and they've had all these problems, and you can kind of tackle it in several different ways. The only real choice, there are a couple of choices, but they're choices that you always get to. They're not choices that you stumble upon and be like, ooh, that's a little thing so I don't feel clever going through this. Yeah, you don't really get a sense of accomplishment for discovering any of these little secrets.
Yeah, maybe that is it, right? That like since every breadcrumb along the chain gives you the next breadcrumb, like that the person being tortured tells you what you're supposed to do, and then the wizard, which we'll talk about in a second, he tells you exactly what you need to do, and then you do that. Yeah, I think that like there's no moment to even pause here and like kind of figure out what to do. And I hate wandering around looking for stuff like as much as the next person does, but I do think there's some value in just exploring and seeing what's up in this little enclave.
And maybe it speaks to my vanity or what have you, or my ego, but I love it when a game makes me feel clever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, isn't that a fun part of playing a video game like this and being like, ooh, I stumbled upon this thing. I feel good. I feel competent.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of just going. There's an illusion. I think the game is trying hard to recapture parts of like the Underdark.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's like a really good chapter in Siege of Dragonspear where you go to the quasi-Underdark. Mm-hmm. There's all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Like underneath like Dragonspear Castle.
Exactly. And there's all these subsystems working, right? Mm-hmm. And you can kind of engage one of those subsystems and can affect the others.
Yeah, there's like a water elemental. There's that druid down there. There's a giant who's like pissed off.
And it makes sense, like as an ecosystem. And I think that there are parts of this, like our interactions with Icanith the Mad, right? Which is going to give us a quest, and we can kind of go several different ways about getting the scroll. Is trying to evoke that feeling, but because it is just a point on a linear progression, it doesn't do it. I think that those kind of quests shine in a non-linear sandboxy situation.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, well, let's talk about this wizard. So you go into this next chamber in the daisy chain of chambers, and there's a lot of like, I forget what the name of this creature is, but it's a skull that flies around.
Yeah.
They've been in maybe all of the editions of Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure.
They're fine. They're kind of annoying here because enough can be attacking you at once to kill somebody. I don't think you have that problem, probably.
No.
But yeah, you kind of progress through this area, and you can dive down into water again, and it kind of teleports you around the map. It does not do anything of value, sadly. This maybe is another thing that I find frustrating about this whole section, is that there's a cool mechanic here that, for the most part, is spent teleporting you around the exact same map over and over again.
Sure.
Right? Because like remember in Siege of Dragonspear when you're in that cave and you can dive into the water and it's just like some trolls hanging out? You can just fight some trolls. I would have preferred a little bit more of that if we're going to be doing this here. Anyway, so he's there and he says like, hello, I'm Icanth the Mad. I am
He's real angry.
He's real angry. He's Abasagal's favored wizard, favored servant. And he tells you that there is a goth, like the little beholder guy, who was hanging around recently.
Well, hold on. Before you get to that, there's some of the best... I will give it this.
Okay.
There's some of the best dialogue in the game, I think.
Okay.
What are you doing here? Hey, I want this scroll reversal. And he's like, ooh, that's a delicacy. Or, do you serve it with leeks? And I was like, no, a scroll reversal. And he's like, well, there might be one, I'm reading it now. I might have one floating about my underwear drawer, like a weasel, and twisting them into the most frightful knots. You get the picture. And I was like, sure. He's really playing up the lunacy aspect of Mad and not the angry part of Mad here. But this is the best dialogue. Yes, can I have the scroll? Balthazar says. Never say I'm like mean. I'm asking for something. And Icanith the Mad says, I don't know how they do things where you come from, but here in Abasagal's enclave, we work for our scrolls of reversal. I really like that.
I don't like it.
You don't like that?
I don't like it. I don't like all that preamble. Like, that's a good line, but it is...
Oh, but you the ridiculous stuff, like, killed it for you, like, in front.
Crazy, quote-unquote, crazy wizard is not compelling to me, like, even a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too. And it's a shame that they put that in there, because you remember Spectator?
Sorry.
The
Hold on. Okay, I'm back.
You remember Spectator?
I do remember Spectator.
This, but around here we work for our Scrolls of Reversal, is very evocative of some of Spectator's dialogue.
100%. And I love Spectator Beholder, right? So yeah, I'm not averse to any of this, but I just think that like zany loony wizard is
it's super played out. It's kind of it's
and it's played out within this game already too, right?
Yeah.
Like I am over it. I don't think that that's like an interesting way to write characters, I guess, within this world. But oh well. But yeah, so he says that there was a goth here recently, and that it had a pretty eyeball. It had like pretty eyes, and that he wants us to retrieve the eyeball.
I don't do that.
What did you do?
I killed him.
Well, so I went into like the next little area, and there was a goth there, and there were a bunch of like elder orbs hanging out with it.
Lord.
And I killed it and the elder orbs. Beholders are like not a problem at this point. Dragons, different story. And you know what? That's actually very disappointing. I understand why beholders can't be as powerful as dragons in this game, because what makes beholders so powerful in D&D is that they have 8 eye stalks, and all of them can fire in a turn, theoretically.
Sure.
Right. So, but each of those things individually isn't the worst thing, other than like the ray of disintegration or whatever it's called.
Sure. Petrification maybe on the super powerful ones.
Yeah. But a dragon, like single shot, fire breath or whatever, breath weapon, big swiping claw. Those single actions are more powerful. But I wish that beholders were just a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I never saw any of that content. I didn't even go into that area.
It's just one room, so you literally are missing nothing. I came back and I gave it to him, and he was like, hey, thanks. There's also an option to like de-petrify some adventurers who were there.
And contract them to go fetch the
and I think
I believe.
I will say that this is a good line. I think he does actually specifically say subcontract, which is funny.
Like I said, I think that it's a real shame that they leaned into the zany or loony. I think is like the more appropriate term with this character, because otherwise, like a character like this, just like have a wizard that breaks the fourth wall,
Yeah. What's to lose? And I feel like in D&D, you can only break the fourth wall if you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's like an endearing character trait.
In Marvel, you can only break the fourth wall if you're like an asshole.
If you're Deadpool.
Yeah.
But that's also the same thing, right? He's crazy, he's zany and weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got like multiple personalities, because in the comic book, or at least like the Danny Way comics, right? He has 3 different voices. Like it's established at some point that in the comics, or at least in some of the Deadpool comics, that the narratorial voice, his actual dialogue, and then his internal dialogue can all talk to one another. They are like distinct entities.
Can we like start seeing fiction where people with mental illness are like portrayed with various roles? And then people who are like, I don't know, weird, like, or break the fourth wall or say things are not portrayed as having mental illness.
It would be good.
Like, can we just like switch that up occasionally, just so it stops being old,
Yeah, I'll get in there.
Just have like a very serious accountant with multiple personalities. That sounds way more interesting.
They're in a comic book or in a movie, or in a game. Yeah, sure. Preaching to the choir over here.
Okay, well,
But anyway, we get this scroll, and we go up to talk to Yasatat.
Yes. Attack.
And so, yeah, I go up there, and I'm like, hey, I got this scroll. I'm going to let you free, blah, blah, blah. And this dragon, you tell me what happened with this dragon.
I'll tell you exactly how this went down. This was a little infuriating, to be honest. So, Yasatat is bewitched by a Gesh, as we determine the pronunciation.
You have determined that.
Well, I put it into Google and I hit the pronounce button.
And they told you?
And they told me.
God damn, they know D&D?
Yeah. It's apparently, I think it's like Celtic.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, I can break this gesh, sure, and I break it, and they're like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm blowing this popsicle stand, and I say, well, hold on, you got to give me the wardstone. You said you could do that for me, and they said, well, you're like a tiny puny weakling, and you're an idiot to bargain with a dragon. And I don't care, but I don't like Abasagal, so for this one situation, I will give you the wardstone. At which point, Yisatat starts walking away and turns into the human form. And I, click the sword and attack her.
Okay.
Because that's really insulting. And, look, I hate slavery? Absolutely. I freed Yisatat, and Yisatat was no longer a slave and was deeply disrespectful after being freed. So I attacked, but it did not matter. I swung a few times, but the Yisatat despawned.
I mean, worse than telling you what to do, Yisatat told you what you should have done. Which can't be corrected.
No.
And you can never come back from that. From knowing that you might have done a thing bad. The worst.
Yeah, it's like retroactively
telling
you what to do.
Exactly.
And the only way and Balthazar doesn't have a means to punish that without a time machine where I would retroactively kill you.
That's the worst thing possible, is to give Balthazar a time machine. It's the worst possible reality. God, someone make that fan game, though. Like a twine game of Balthazar warping around the important events of the Forgotten Realms.
It would just be people insulting him going back in time and killing them, and then in the process of killing him, somebody else would insult him, and he would just continue to go back in time until he killed the proverbial Adam and Eve, right? All of humanity is gone.
Oh, okay. So then we go in this room. Abasagal is there. Abasagal is human, because dragons have a humanoid and a not humanoid form. It's an orc, I guess. He's an orc.
Orc, half orc. There's kind of this. It's supposed to be a reveal that Abasagal's a dragon, even though we know that Draonus is Abasagal's son.
Yeah.
And Draonus is definitely a dragon. There's some dialogue that's where Abasagal hints that he's a dragon, and one of the options you can say to Abasagal is well, hold on. I thought you were just a half-breed.
Oh.
Because people have referred to Abasagal as a half-breed. And of course, one of those halves is a dragon. That's the whole thing.
But what half? Half dragon, half god?
A dragon, from what I hear, you're nothing but a mongrel half-breed. That is a thing the player character can say in this game.
Bad.
I opted for saying, you sound like your son Draonus. I enjoyed killing him, too.
Damn.
That's pretty bad, too.
Yeah, I don't know how this works. There's Bhaal running around 40 years ago, tops. Having children everywhere. So that means this dragon could only be 40 years old. And then his son would have to be younger than that. But 40 years old for a dragon's a little bitty baby dragon, right? That's not an adult dragon. So this begins to spiral out of control for me, I think. I think there's some I get why you would make it a dragon, because that's very cool, but it is not very consistent. And I'm sure that there's going to be someone who, on Reddit or in the comments here, who has a very good reason why this is true.
Everyone knows that divine blood accelerates the maturation process of dragons.
Rude. But okay, so we go in there, and you fought Abasagal, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I fought Abasagal. I killed a few of the frost salamanders. I lured him into the corner, and I fought him a little bit, making sure to drink potions. I used a potion of haste. Because, like, the big thing is cooldown, like the global cooldown.
Yeah.
Which is a thing in Baldur's Gate. You can't, like, drink 2 potions back to back. There's a cooldown before you can use another item. Usually when Balthazar fights, he is constantly, every 6 seconds or so, using Greater Whirlwind, the high-level ability, for super haste. But doing that eliminates his ability to do anything else, right? Like, using 1 potion, you're foregoing, like, a round of haste.
Yeah.
So, I used a potion of haste, and then during the first phase, I drank health potions to keep my health up. He eventually turns into a dragon, and I get him into a corner. He wing buffets me to the entrance, but for some reason does not follow me. He de-aggroes. I'm able to quick save. And then after so I was very lucky to get a quick save while after he was in dragon form.
Yeah.
And then I used protection from lightning and an insulation potion because he uses lightning attacks and his breath's lightning. And at that point, I experimented around with like different weapon combinations, and it was Rune Hammer. I think it was I think it was Fobane and Cromfair that did Abasagal in.
I just clicked on them and hit that button again. Let me tell you, there is no better feeling than killing a dragon and not having to fight it. Like killing it in one hit.
That's the bee's knees.
It's so good. I wish I could go back through the whole game and do it over and over and over again to all. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make a little video where I'm just spawning in all the dragons from the game and killing them one by one.
Or you should do a new category of speed run for Baldur's Gate with console commands. Like just only the kill command, just like running your character through the game as quickly as possible. Just kill command.
Oh my god, that actually might be really. We should stream that one day.
Do you want to do that on our? We could do our next Iron, quote unquote, Iron Man run, but just with that command enabled.
That could be really good. We need to see if you get experience. If you get experience, then you would always there's no risk to it. So when you kill Abasagal, he with his dying breath communicates a vision to you. Which is really weird, right? That's like
Vulcan mind melds with you.
Yeah, it's some very clumsy stuff. And what he reveals is that Melissan, who you were supposed to meet, remember, at Saradush with Balthazar there, that Melissan showed up, and then he betrayed her and captured her, and she is inside of his monk compound, his monastery.
Balthazar was the bad one the whole time.
He was the bad one the whole time. He was the bad guy, in case you didn't know. Wowee. And then, and so now that's where we are left. Now we have to go and kill Balthazar, who is also a ball spawn. Gosh, and that's where we ended.
And that's where this episode ends.
It is. Next episode, we're going to be going to Balthazar's compound, killing Balthazar, and finishing up this chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna do the damn thing. Yeah. I think one of the reasons why I enjoyed this chapter is I enjoy the puzzle of figuring out how to kill the dragons.
Yeah.
And it takes some time, and I'm looking through my potion bag and my scroll case that I've every merchant I go to, I always buy all the protection scrolls. And so figuring out just scrolling through the chat and figuring out. So ultimately this chapter was just 2 little dragon puzzles.
Yeah, and I think maybe if
I enjoyed
also
that metagame puzzling of quick saving and when to leave and when to load back in, that kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, I think if I enjoyed that puzzle more, I would definitely enjoy dragon fights. It's also different too when it's a 1v1 puzzle versus a 6v1 puzzle where I'm trying to make sure no one dies.
Yeah,
and I'm not at my ability range is not as big as yours, right? I have a plurality, but none of them are as deep. So it's a little,
and a lot of your time is just spent doing really fiddly positioning with very fragile people.
Exactly, triangulating and to making sure like a wind buffet doesn't hit more than one person, or a breath weapon. Yeah, it's a different kind of puzzle. I think I would enjoy the kind of puzzle you're doing much more than the one that I have relieved myself from ever doing again.
Well, you'll scrub through the footage, and the folks will see.
They'll know.
The folks will see both the puzzle and the hell click.
Yep. All right. Well, that was this episode. If you enjoyed listening to it, go and check us out on Twitter down in the description below, and also on Facebook. You can also subscribe to us. You should do that. You should have done that already, and you can hit the like button down there. If you didn't like it, hit the don't like button. Either's fine with me. It's all about you,
sure,
buddy. And if you really like all this stuff, you can come hang out on our Discord. We play a lot of video games on there. We talk a lot about tabletop games and RPGs and all of the other stuff that the things that we talk about on here are like the stuff is what
plus
we do.
Puns.
Plus
just
puns.
A lot of puns.
Pun Game Strong on the Range Touch Discord. And if you really like all of this, and if you like listening to what we have to say, you can get even more of that by going to Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get our newsletter. For $5 a month, you get access to a very special podcast and maybe some other stuff too. For
$50 a month, you get our eternal adoration and the title Wizard Slayer,
yes,
which there's no other place in the real world you can get that title.
Yeah, we'll make you a certificate and we'll mail it to you. It says Wizard Slayer on it. We'll do that. We'll commit to that, right?
Yeah, but you heard it here.
You heard it here, first and only. All right, well, we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, ciao.
So saith the Lord.